Okay, welcome back, everyone. Next up on our agenda is Director Lefebvre. We are.
Thank you, Worship. What you have is the cash in lieu of parking policy revisions. The memo reads that Planning and Development Coordinator Kayla McCussion and I have completed the review of the cash in lieu parking policy, MOS 2002. The following is a list of revisions made to the policy. Update the language to make it more consistent, clear, and concise, such as replacing shall, mean, with, means in the definition. We removed the procedures section, as procedures don't belong in policies. They'll be coming up as a procedure later for the CAO to approve. Verified the name of the index to be used to calculate the cash in lieu amount, which is the Alberta non-residential building index that we use. And we confirmed with Megan and updated the reserve accounts for that the funds will go into. And we also checked that the MJ didn't have any restrictions on this, and it does not. And then we reviewed other policies from other municipalities to see if there's anything we were missing or just to keep it up to date, and there's nothing in there that we don't already have. So the cash in lieu of parking policy is a policy that was put into place a few land use bylaws ago, and if you were building then, it was specifically in C1, and we're short of a parking stall. You remember a developer that came in next to Capitol Theater that wanted to put up some housing. Between the 5 or 6 parking stalls you had in the back, based on the amount of suites inside, if it's a bachelor suite, you need 1 parking stall per resident. If it's a 1 bedroom, you need 1.25 parking stalls per. If it's a 2 bedroom, you need 1.5 parking stalls. And he was short, I think it was 2 stalls. So by introducing the cash in lieu of policy, then we can take payment for those parking stalls that do not exist and put that money in a reserve to put towards either the construction of another community style parking lot, or say the parking lot behind the post office if we need to do maintenance or repair to it, is the idea behind a cash in lieu policy. So they pay us for the stalls that they can't provide on site, and then we have to approve that. So in the land use bylaw, it talks about C1 or downtown commercial, C2 and C2R, which is C2 rail. Those are the ones that are listed in the land use bylaw, and any other areas that council has approved, which are those. So this cash in lieu policy really covers 3 districts for us. Typically the more congested ones where parking is an issue.
Okay. Any questions? The policy's here, and we'll be bringing this up at the next council meeting. Okay, thank you. You have one more, Dale?
I do, Your Worship. This is the designated highway signage area policy revisions. We've completed a review of the designated highway signage area policy, MOS 2006. The following is a list of revisions made to the policy. Excuse me, this is just one change really. We're going to remove 1.0, which resident businesses without highway frontage have 0 visibility to highway traffic due to their location within town, limiting their opportunity for highly visible signs and displays that are available to businesses adjacent to the highway. We're going to add in 1.0. It will now be available to all town licensed resident businesses within the town of Vegreville corporate limits to promote their business to highway traffic while ensuring consistent sign placement and preventing sign clutter along Highway 16A. We have stalls on the highway that are, you know where they are, they're on the north side of the Composite High School fields. Those filled up very quickly, so we opened up another 8 on the south side of Bueller, if you will. And since that, a few years ago we did that, we've got 2. That's the most we've had. They're just not filling. We've promoted them. We've sent them to the chamber. Our seed department is reached out again to the businesses. We're just not getting, what we're getting is a few people that actually have highway frontage also want one of those. So we have had 8 stalls sitting vacant for a few years. We're proposing the change be that we open up to a resident business in the town of Vegreville that is business licensed if required and isn't within the corporate limits of the town of Vegreville. So we still keep the restrictions on, but we just eliminate the fact that those on the main drag cannot advertise on the main drag through this. And that will be the change.
Any questions? Go ahead, Councillor Bullock.
So you have had quite a few other businesses asking about it that aren't on the main, or that are on the main drag, or
I have, 3,
three? Okay.
and there's 8 stalls, 2 taken, there's 6 left that have just been sitting, so 8 or 10. Yep. And, 2, 4, there's 6 remaining. And to be quite honest, through whatever process, there is 2 there now that are on highway.
Okay. All right. That's all I got. That's fine.
So, I guess we should have a conversation. A lot of that boulevard there, I already have somebody who wants to lease it all deal, so. On the north side,
Yeah,
so we just better be sort of careful how we add any more in there. The policy is good, but I'll come to your office and I'll explain what I've talked to another business about.
okay,
But anyway, the policy's here, we'll read it, and this will come up at our next council meeting.
the next regular meeting, yeah, for approval.
Yep. That looks like that's it for you.
Yes, it is.
Next up, Director Sasky. Exciting times coming.
Thank you, Your Worship. So I have here the RCMP RetroPay invoice. We've been officially invoiced as of March 31st, this last week. The background on this is the Government of Canada signed the first collective agreement regarding the RCMP regular members and reservists with the National Police Federation on August 6, 2021, which resulted in retroactive salary cost increases. Attached to this memo is the invoice with the town's share of the retroactive costs for RetroPay for the period of April 1st, 2017 to March 31st, 2021, in the amount of $264,253.70, as well as supplemental information showing the calculations for the town. In the correspondence from the Operations Strategy Branch of the RCMP, it's noted that the retroactive cost for the town falls within the estimated ranges provided to us in February and March 2022. Currently on our books is an estimated cost of $194,057, leaving an additional $70,000 that needs to be accrued to pay the current invoice of $264,000. So this is coming to you. It has on the invoice a due date of May 15th. And that is all the official formal information I have at this time. So I'm bringing it forward to council.
Any comments? Go ahead, Councilor Riddick.
So before I comment, I'll just clarify that as of Friday, I took a leave of absence from the Federation of Canadian Municipalities, but before I did, we had convened a meeting of all the provincial and territorial associations, executive directors and presidents to talk about next steps and convening the collective power of all of the associations across the country to be able to say that not only are we not happy, the additional cost is an additional burden, and it also arrived at a time that was very unfortunate. So they were delivering these bills literally in a room while the Mass Casualty Commission report was getting released in Nova Scotia. And one of our table officers was sitting there as these bills were getting delivered around the Alberta Munis room. So FCM is continuing to work with provincial and territorial associations. There were many gathered in that room, some of whom have the largest bills imaginable in the province, in excess of 4 million, 3 million. Those mayors have talked about not paying, refusing to pay. There are also other jurisdictions like Surrey. I think I circulated the news releases to all of senior management and council to be able to see what's happening across the country. New Brunswick absolutely cannot pay. They cannot afford to pay. There are other jurisdictions that have money set aside. There are others like ours. As you've just demonstrated, we've saved some money. But I think the principle of the matter, to a person, although that's not FCM policy, it was the tenor of the room is that they were not interested in following through with the date, and they also felt that the timeline was too quick and did not align with municipal realities. So all that to say, there is a range of options that we can decide upon, but I would say that we should not abandon our ability to be able to speak for ourselves as a municipality that has an additional burden, because there are very few in the province, there are very few in the country that have to be responsible for not only paying for policing that is inadequately staffed, but also has the burden of paying for a precinct or a barracks like we do. So we have a double burden that's not being respected or honored. So my opinion is that we continue to speak out about it. If we just pay the bill, that means that we acquiesce.
Okay, so just an update that Director Saskew's been working hard after the contacts that we made at our last conference with the RCMP, and the member that we spoke to there is arranged, or Director Saskew's arranged a meeting here in town for next Tuesday, and she'll be bringing her team out here, and there's a lot of issues that we're having with the billing and cost overruns on some agreements that we just signed, plus this one here. So we'll be sitting down talking to them, and we will wait to see what other municipalities, how they're moving forward. I know all kinds of other organizations, the same as ours across the country, are in the same boat. We talked to Manitoba, Saskatchewan, and New Brunswick at the conference, and I'm not saying that we're not going to end up paying this someday, but we're still not going to roll over right away and the fact that they just increased it by $100,000 just out of the blue for no apparent reason, and we'll be having that conversation on Tuesday. So, go ahead.
Just as a note, then I will connect you with some of the FCM policy and public relations staff to be able to provide some additional information, because we're not the only ones that are experiencing this challenge. And just listening to some of the details coming out of the mass casualty report, there are some repercussions that need to be addressed, and I think our community is no different than many that needs to have some more attention on that. So I'll connect you, Megan. Please, thank you.
I think we made it very clear at the conference that we didn't have the money, so that's exactly what I said, and we can't pay it because we weren't expecting any of this new stuff. So we have a list, and they have their list of what we're going to be talking about on Tuesday, and they're bringing a team out, and we'll try to get the bottom of this the best we can, and we'll wait to see what Alberta Munis and other organizations in different provinces' next step is. So, thank you for your advocacy from FCM, and I did an interview for the local paper, and they asked what I thought of their answer, the federal government. I said they never answered anything. They just didn't include it in the budget. I mean, that's no yes, no no. They just rolled on. So we'll have an update hopefully for the next meeting after our meeting on Tuesday. Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Yep. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Councillor Lamp.
Yeah, this is to Director Saskew. Just you'll note on the invoice, actual invoice, you might want to get a hold of the commissioner regarding the town of Vegreville address and the contact information, as it's outdated. Might want to update that. Thank you.
Well, I'll put that on our list. Okay, thank you, Director Saskew. Next up, CAO Leggett.
Thank you, Your Worship. So in front of you is the draft or update to Gov 1009, the proclamation policy. It's proposed by our Legislative Services Manager. Background on this is, while undertaking the scheduled review of the proclamation policy, it was noted that the policy refers specifically to a department title that no longer exists in our organization. The policy intent and direction has not been changed. However, the title of Communication Coordinator has been removed, and Community Engagement and Economic Development, or SEED, Department has been added into the definitions and where appropriate. The policy has also been reformatted into our newly adopted policy format. Communication strategy, when adopted, the updated policy will be available on the website for the public, as well as in our shared common drive for all staff. Options, council can choose from the following options. Number one, send the policy update Gov 1009 proclamation policy to the next meeting of council for approval, or refer back to administration for any changes you might want to see. Thanks.
Okay. So thank you. Any comments on that policy? Oh, go ahead.
Sorry, I just was going to ask that perhaps the communication strategy needs to be a little bit more vigorous, just because in the past when we've had groups that have come and approached us with good intentions and with the idea of raising profile of specific issue, they may not have fallen into the guidelines that are laid out here, and I realize that our staff will be very accommodating. But if there's a way to be able to engage with our volunteer community, I don't know if the volunteer appreciation luncheon is upcoming, that might be a good opportunity to be able to update that group, because they'll be in contact with FCSS or whoever is organizing that, because a lot of the special events or special recognition might fall within the purview of that group of community leaders. And I would hate to think that we're not able to accommodate some of the volunteers that do a lot of good work but may not be going on our website.
Okay. Go ahead, Sandra.
We can definitely add a piece in that, maybe even do like a little bit of an update, maybe a news item on the website. The proclamation, the way to send in proclamations, there's actually a form on the website to fill it out, so we'll make sure that that page is updated as well with all the new information. But it's, yes, we will put out a little blurb to the public.
So in the proclamation, policy itself, does the mayor still have 3 days that he can proclaim out by himself? Because I didn't read it in there, and that's the best thing about being the mayor.
There is no Tim McPhee Day.
I would never use it on myself.
Okay. No Tina
Yeah,
Day.
that was.
362 other days of the year we could do that.
There was, yeah, it used to say that.
I did not remove that from the previous policy, so
You think I'm making this up?
no, I'll have to do some more digging.
There was something. There was something about a certain number of days that a mayor could proclaim.
I do know in the MGA, council and the mayor and council are allowed to appoint 2 civic holidays, minimum half a day each. But proclamations, I will have to do more digging.
Fee Day, nice.
Well, I don't know where I read that, but,
Yeah, I know. I'm thinking about something. I just don't.
well, I don't know. I'd really have to re-examine my position on this chairman of the board thing here. Okay, but if there's any other updates or any other comments, this will be coming to the next council meeting. So. Okay, and one more, CAO Leggett.
Thank you, Your Worship. So also in front of you on the policy front is page 26 to page 29, and it's a memo regarding the employee policy manual. The memo's 4 pages long, so if council's okay, I might not read it in its entirety here, but rather just sort of speak to the strategic intent of it. The policy was due for an update, and our newly appointed human resources officer, as well as the senior staff, have gone through it quite a few times. The major changes that we're doing from a 30,000 foot level are to change sections of the policy that didn't necessarily align properly with current employment standards on a couple of fronts, make the document a little bit more reader friendly for staff, and then streamline a few areas as well. So with this one, because it's an 80-ish page document, the intent of tonight is not to really go through, the policy itself, but rather just present it to you on the agenda in a formalized setting so that you have it, members of the public can see it, and I'll refer to, members of the public that want to see our staff report on this can reference it on the agenda as well. And then we're going to bring it back on the 18th for discussion in that ledge meeting. And then depending on how far we get through the policy on the 18th, we may need a second meeting, but if not, then we're likely looking at adopting it here on the 24th. So between now and then, folks, definitely give it a good read. let us know ahead of time if you have any detailed questions so that we can prepare the answers and do the historical context and reading and get you any information you might want between now and the 18th. And looking forward to a good discussion on the 18th.
Okay, so this is a very large document. So after about a week, Chris is gonna reach out on an email chain with all of us and ask for your thoughts. So we'll all see what each other's talking about and stuff. And we'll give admin a chance to be prepared for any changes that we're trying to make before the ledge meeting. So we won't tie up the whole meeting on this. So, I mean, let's try to get out in front of it the best we can. And if someone's already asked for a change in one area and if you see the same problem, whatever. I mean, we're not all experts in writing these, and we don't know, none of us manage an organization and this many employees, so, I mean, we can ask questions why. Things are a certain way, but we don't demand changes without knowing, exactly what the overall arching stuff is, so in about a week, you'll reach out on a chain email to everybody and get some changes.
Yeah, thanks, Worship. And then just a couple of other details on it too. So you're not wrong. To get to this point, we had about 6 hours of staff meetings, multiple senior staff members going over the various sections, proposing draft or rewrites and amendments to it and stuff. So a lot of background work's gone into it. For the 18th, the HR officer will be presenting, herself to council along with a PowerPoint. And definitely, yeah, anything and everything's on the table or off the table. This is a draft format, not etched in stone. So, like I say, looking forward to a collaborative discussion, and we'll come up with something that works on the 18th.
Excellent. Go ahead, Councillor Bullock.
Okay, just in that document, the highlighted in yellow is the changes then?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you very much. Next up, is me, I guess. Lemonade Day is coming back to Northern Alberta for 2023.
8.3.
Oh, I guess it was too close to the bottom.
Was just a one-liner as well, Your Worship. So that one's still me. No staff report or memo on this one. Just looking for council's thoughts on canceling the April 12th meeting at council. The agenda at this point is pretty light. It would really just be bringing those two policies that Director Lefebvre brought forward. That's essentially all staff has to bring forward on that one, and I understand we're just going to barely be at the quorum threshold as well.
I don't know if we're gonna be at a quorum.
Okay. So yeah, considering that, makes sense to cancel it. We don't need it from the staff standpoint operationally, so it's up to you guys.
Okay. Okay, so that was 8.3. Number 9, I think I'm right now. Okay, thank you. Lemonade Day is coming back to Northern Alberta for 2023. We are so excited to let you know that Lemonade Day 2023 is coming back to our town. Community Futures Elk Island Region is bringing lemonade back to our town, and we would like to request your support. Lemonade Day Northern Alberta is much broader than just one individual child selling lemonade from her stand. It's a process that gets the whole community focused on investing in our youth and teaching them about business. It also shows them how they can create their own jobs in the future instead of just looking for a job. The success of Lemonade Day relies on all members of our community coming together for one purpose: to train the next generation of entrepreneurs, civic leaders, and engaged citizens. Please help us impact the youth in our communities. There are a number of ways you can show your support for Lemonade Day. So making an official proclamation of a Lemonade Day. Provide space to host LEMIU training sessions and volunteering and the event promotion. Remember, all contributions made to Lemonade Day Northern Alberta go directly towards supporting programs and the kids involved. So Lemonade Day Northern Alberta will take place on Saturday, June the 17th. Wear yellow, drink lots of lemonade, and support a dream. Get involved, help support a stand, spark a dream. And that's from Kathy Demetru, project coordinator of Elk Island, Community Features Elk Island region. Well, I think that we all have seen us be successful in the community, and every year it gets a little bigger. I mean, the COVID pandemic slowed it down a little bit, but it's nice to be part of this, and the fact that they use different departments within town for business license, and they borrow money from their grandparents or their parents, and they have to put a business plan together and stuff. I think that this year we're probably going to see a lot more stands, and hope council will be involved in the judging again when the time comes. As a matter of fact, who wants to be involved this year? Yeah,
I got Esther.
I think we can all take part.
We can
in it.
all do it.
Okay. And so what they've asked for, we've done in the past. We've supported them through the licensing department downstairs. We have provided a space for some training sessions, and we'll help promote the event through our social media program. So, excellent. Opening ceremonies, the musical ride. Dear Tim McPhee, we would certainly love to have you join us on stage to bring greetings on behalf of the town of Vegreville at the RCMP musical ride, June the 16th, the day before. The opening ceremonies will be held on Friday, June 16th at 5:15. Kindly indicate if you can attend by calling our office. Warmest regards, Rachel Farr, Office Manager for the Vegreville Agriculture Society. It's going to be a big event for our community, that's for sure. And I'm saying yes. Hopefully we'll all be able to attend. Okay, what else is up next? Trans-Canada Yellowhead. Who's this from? Marv? Okay. Mayor and Council of Town of Vegreville. Dear Mayor McPhee and members of Council, at the recent annual convention of Saskatchewan Association of Rural Municipalities, SARM, where I attended as a representative AMM, I had the pleasure to meet and chat with FCM Federation of Canadian Municipalities President, Tanine Rudick, a member of your town council. Well, the ambassador was In our discussions, we talked about the importance of collaboration and the relationships with TCYHA, Trans-Canada Yellowhead Highway Association. Provides not just in infrastructure advocacy, but in tourism, travel, promotion, and the opportunity for leveraging reach to support economic growth. The movement of goods and services, as well as resources along the Trans-Canada number 16 Yellowhead Highway, is acutely connected to traffic on this critical part of Canada's national highway system. The infrastructure must reflect the important role of the highway, be it commercial or personal travel. As such, advocating for safe and efficient highway travel has been a focus for our association, as directed by our membership since our inception. It was the direction in that many voices strengthened the message, which was the genesis for forming the association. The town of Vegreville was one of our founding members and historically played a key role in the development of the highway. Having that continue is good for the whole corridor. We have been invited by Alberta Minister of Transportation and Economic Corridors, the Honorable Devin Dreesen, to meet with him to discuss our areas of concern. We will be incorporating messaging from our membership in that meeting. Your input to that meeting would be valued. I invite you to once again add your voice to our collective efforts. Membership is determined by 20 cents per capita. So with your population of 5,708, annual membership with GST would be $1,198.68. We wish you safe travels. Okay. So every year, they send us a letter and ask us to join this association again. We'll bring it up at the next council meeting and we'll discuss it. We haven't been a member for quite a few years. And, we'll get everybody's thoughts on it then. Does everybody know basically what they do?
Refresh.
Well, Councilor Rudick talked to the president.
So, I encourage, Mayor Starzyk to write a letter to council. Their mission over the years has changed somewhat, so previously, several mayors ago, our mayor was on the board of directors for TransCanada, Yellowhead Association, Highway Association, and it was largely talking about infrastructure investment and, ensuring that there was a build-out of the TransCanada across the country. And in particular, one of the biggest investments was ensuring that Highway 16 through the Edmonton metropolitan area was built out. And then there was some changeover in mission, and the subsequent chair was a councillor from County of Strathcona, Councillor Paul Smith. And so it's gone through a different mandate, and now again, I think they're focusing on the linking of communities across the country. So in different parts of the countries, it might be more focused on the trade corridors or the linking of tourists and business. And I think they're maybe at a different point than the last time that we had a presentation. It is several years ago that we had a presentation from their CAO and the former chair, Paul Smith, because he's retired quite a number of years ago. All that to say, I just encourage the mayor to write a letter to us, and as one of the founding members and somebody that we sit on the highway, that it would be a message that we would certainly listen and consider, because there are other conversations that are happening with other colleagues across Highway 16 that are talking about the need to link tourism and economic opportunities along trade corridors. So in that vein, that's why he wrote the letter.
Okay, any other questions or comments? Okay, thank you. Next up, we have a letter from Francis Sylvia from the Vegreville Lions Club. Mayor Tim McPhee, we are pleased to inform you that we are hosting multiple district convention here at Vegreville Social Center. We hereby invite you to be part of opening ceremonies on Saturday, April the 29th at 8:30 to welcome the guests of Vegreville. You're also welcome to stay for a program after the opening ceremony, view our display tables, and listen to our presenters. This one I may not be able to make it, but I'm not sure yet. So, Deputy Mayor, what are your thoughts if I can't make it?
I'm not sure if I'll be able to make that one either, actually.
Okay. Once I determine if I can or not, we'll get back to them. I'll probably need about a week, so I know they're looking for an answer. You know what, I'll reach out to President Francis and just let her know. If not, is there anybody else that would be able to bring greetings from the town? It's Saturday morning. I'm sure that we can find some. Okay, I'll reach out to Francis Sandra on my own here and just let her know, and if I can't, I'll know within a week, then I'll find somebody who will. Okay. Let's move on to a round table. And we'll start with Councillor Barry.
Your Worship, actually, I haven't got anything. I can just say that I think last week's meetings in Edmonton were very instructive. I learned a lot there at that, and but around town, nothing, just waiting for the snow to melt.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. Councillor Bullock.
Much the same, just Alberta municipalities, spring caucus, and president's conference aid that we had there about collaboration, and that's about all that I had as well. Nothing else. Watching the snow melt with Barry.
Okay. Thank you very much. Councillor Orwell.
I have just one thing. Of course, we've had some recent issues again within our aquatic center. So that's just been a little bit of a talk with people a little bit, is that they've seen where we've had a number of little things that need repair. So, I think that it's really important that council has been talking about the future of our different recreation facilities, and we'll need to continue to action forward those next step reviews and do some of the work that we talked about, because people are talking about that and noticing, first off, they were appreciative of the fact that we do respond and have done our best to reopen facilities, but there has been, the notice that some of our aging infrastructure has had repeated breakdowns. And then there was some talk too about functionality, and I mean, I think that it's fair to say that some of our facilities currently, we had them in a certain state and then built onto them, so they may not have necessarily been designed the way we would have if you were setting a whole building, which happens whenever you put something together and then add your pieces on. So I kind of look forward to some of these committees and discussions to look at that in the future. And the only other thing I want to add, because of course I couldn't go a whole meeting without talking about hockey, just a shout out to our U18 Wrangler group who brought home a provincial silver to Vegreville. So good job. I went out to Provost and watched the kids. My son had played with them before. Their coach was his coach last year. So congratulations to them. They did great. And that's it.
Well, what about the other team? The Vipers and the Can-Am League.
Well, sometimes I feel bad because my kid's on it, but the boys did do great. They finished with a 36-7-2 record. They went to the finals and they had to play the long route up. Won all 3 games and got themselves to the final against Hinton. Came up short in that game. Kind of thought that might happen. They won the last 3 times they met. The last time in Hinton, so we're almost due for a loss there, but they did really great and came home, had a good season. And last night they officially closed down the majority of their season with their award ceremony. And since we're doing the shameless thing, my kid got an award for most improved player.
I did see that.
So I'll just talk about my child there. But anyways, it was very nice. They had a good season. I'm not gonna lie, there was a lot of tears last night because we are an international league, so there's a number of kids leaving. So that was really hard. One of our Slovakian players actually went home the other day, and the billet parents were definitely, there was tears with that. We have a young man leaving on Wednesday, back to the U.S., a couple heading back to Manitoba. So we've got a few that are going to other places. However, I would say one really nice thing is our last year's captain, Mikita Protoshenko, during the course of this year, his mother and his sister with the situation in Ukraine joined us here. They do have their visas and they're working, and their plan is to stay in Canada. So he won't be playing anymore. He hit his max year this year, but just a shout out to him. He's been a really good kid and he really likes Vegreville and is very thankful to the community for all the help they gave. So that's it.
Good. We will be expecting a bit of an update on maybe some stocking of some parts for our facilities. Some stuff that's a week or 2 away if it's not too expensive. So CEO Leggett has talked to our manager, and these having a pump go down that's a week away all the time, or a valve that 2 years ago that shut us down forever, and it was specialized valve, but they're really not that much to keep on the shelf. So we'll have something brought forward on that in the near future. Councilor Rudy.
Well, I've had a few reach outs. Appreciation for business recognition, that people are enjoying to be able to see businesses that they're not familiar with in the town, so they like that ability. And so this is an experienced or a business that's been around for a while. They wondered if that wasn't something that we could do for recognition. And I said traditionally we've been doing new businesses, welcoming them to the community and acknowledging long service or significant anniversaries. But point taken that we don't necessarily talk about the businesses that have been here for a long time. So they appreciated the recognition of new ones, wondered where they might fit into that. Had a question about fences. So here's spring is starting to come, snow is melting, and people are wondering how to mediate disagreements with neighbors that are not interested in replacing fences. And I said, in general, council does not weigh in on those contentious conversations between neighbors. And I don't know that we necessarily have a good suggestion about how to resolve those good or bad neighbor debates, but it just reminded me that maybe we can share again with the changing of the season some of the process that we have in place for being able to build fences, because reminder for everybody to put in an application and get first call, but also the part about trying to mediate, that's not really our role as the town, and I didn't really have a good suggestion, so maybe I'll put that in a pin to you, Dale, if you've got a suggestion there. And then the last question I had, and I'll circulate this afterwards with council, is a long-time renter of some of our facilities was not notified of the change in the fees, and was kind of taken aback by the increase. Not that there wasn't a need to increase. We had this conversation. The fees and services were a comprehensive rate change, but the notification did not come to this business owner. And so I think one of the things that I would have said at the time, I think that's probably pretty common, that I would have said, I hope that we're reaching out to longtime users of our spaces to ensure that they're included. And this may have just been an oversight, but it was an increase that they weren't expecting, hadn't budgeted for, and has, as a longtime renter, had expected that they may have had some kind of advance warning. So I'm not sure that that will change their relationship with being able to rent our facilities, but again, just a process that maybe we need to just tweak a little bit and make sure that our staff that are booking facilities are well acquainted with both the backstory and the current situation to be able to share that information, not just simply get a name and a phone number and who's booking a facility, but understand the implications of what a rate change means to the people that are actually renting. So those are my interactions with the public.
Okay, thank you very much. Councilor Lemko.
Thank you, Your Worship. I have a couple of items. I just want to do a shout out to a new business located in town on Main Street, the Lakeland Employment Services. And this is a business that it will help people looking for work, as well as employers looking for people who want to work. They have walk-in services, so if you're looking for resume development, or there's computer workstations there, there's community resources, and there's also the employee connections with potential employers. They have a job board there that lists numerous jobs in different categories, truck drivers, cooks, and it's quite a list there for employers. Any employer looking for employees, there's no cost advertising on the center job board. Your jobs are posted in employee abilities, website, Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, and other social media sites. And so there's access to pool of potential employees who are ready, willing, and able to work. So a welcome addition to our community for those employees and people looking for work. I want to do a shout out to a couple firefighters in our community who've been promoted to lieutenant, dear to my heart, because as a former fire chief, this kind of stuff doesn't come along very often. So longtime firefighter, Captain Tony Timcheshin, stepped down to the firefighter position. I think he's probably grooming himself for a retirement, but stepped himself away a bit, and the promotion to lieutenants of Johnny Dick and our very own Jameson Brown here. So congratulations, Jameson. Promotion to lieutenant position. You'll fill those boots quite well, I would imagine. Interesting comment too. Yesterday I was listening to the coming back from the city at 6:30 Ched. Rob Breckenridge was talking about the RCMP retro pay and the amount of callers phoning in, voicing their concerns about those numbers and how that is dropped on the municipalities. And I don't know if they were well aware of our situation, that we're a community over 5,000, so we're carrying the brunt, where some communities under 5,000 aren't seeing that. So you could hear that in the conversation, but it stirred a lot of hornets up in the conversation, so I was quite amused at that hour drive from Edmonton. That's all I got, your boss.
Okay, thank you very much. So I just like to repeat a couple of counselors at our President's Summit and Alberta Muni Spring Session. It was a lot of good work done, a lot of good breakout sessions, and had a chance to talk to lots of different municipalities about, you know, common problems that we're seeing and what the solutions may be. Get to reach out on a couple of files I have open as well. We were there, so it was really worthwhile. And that's about all I got. I have had no one really contact me other than town employees like admin with questions, and of course I have no answers, so it's all good. Anyway, we'll move on to the director highlights, and we'll start with Director Saskia.
Thank you, Worship. I have a couple quick points today. So virtual town hall, so it's formally set up at this point in time. We are doing a soft launch where we have some employees volunteering their payments for items, and we're going to get a payment processing batch underway just to see how the full cycle works. And then once we've confirmed the full cycle is working as it should, we'll do the formal rollout to residents. So look for that in the coming weeks. This is the April 1st, so we are doing our utilities batch this week for bills to go out on Thursday. These will be the first ones that have the paper statement fee. So just to let council know, those should be rolling out this week, and any of the paper ones will have the fee on it. We have updated the financial statements for the additional $70,000 accrual for the RCMP retro pay. Note that really, unless we get a formal documentation from the RCMP by the end of April 24th, when we're presenting statements saying that there will be a reduction or we don't owe the full amount, it's a significant difference, and the auditors will require us to have that accrued for December 2022 at this point in time. So I've updated all my statements this week, so that was a lovely little task. And the timing of the statement being formally introduced, especially with some of these increases, was also very poor in relation to a municipal audit having to be passed by the end of April. So now all these places are also updating financial statements, reserves, etc., for all those additional amounts billed. And that is all I have.
And can you give us an update, how many citizens have signed up for the e-billing?
I had it on a post-it and I didn't bring it, unfortunately. I can get those numbers to you.
Okay, I'll just wait.
I'll run
I can add one number
You did it?
right at the deadline on the
Wow.
31st. We punched it in. And I'd encourage everybody to do so.
2 minutes and it was done? I've paid my bill twice already.
Well, and just to let you know, our formal deadline for getting it off for this billing cycle was March 6th to ensure processing time, but our utility clerk has been very good adding in last minute ones that have trickled through this week. Since our billing batch process is in process right now, I cannot guarantee if you submit a paperless authorization today that you won't get the paper statement fee for Thursday. So once we start creating the batch, whoever is signed up, that's the end. So it may be reflected on the next bill.
Okay.
Yes.
But as we move forward with this, if, after they receive their bill, if they go online and register,
No further ones will charge the fee. That is correct.
I've been paying all my bills now. I put everything on that. No more paper fees from anybody. Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Yeah, the bank, yeah. The Director LaFave.
Thank you, Worship. We have completed the planning and development assistant positions. The interviews are completed and the letter's been sent out to a select candidate, and we'll wait to see if we'll get an acceptance. The public works manager short list was completed and the interviews were also completed. Excuse me. And we'll be contacting them to narrow that down. We sent out a request for proposal in Alberta Purchasing Connection for the metal collection contract that's up, so we received several submissions. It's not a tender, it's a request for proposal. So we've sent it back to request a little more detailed information as opposed to just giving us a cost per ton, but more of a percentage as they base everything off of what the index sells metal at the time of sale. So we need a little more information so we can keep track of it. And some of you may have been made aware of a low water pressure situation in town last week. We had a main stop come off the main over by St. Martin's School. We conducted the work ourselves, except for a vac truck, because ours is in the city getting repaired. Long story short, when the water line was repaired, then our next order of business is to flush the nearest hydrant to chase the air out of the line, and then to take a sample that we send off for bacteria and chlorine. When that happened, we put a demand on the water system. We have to remember that I'm still waiting for a repair on the pump house. I can run it, but intermittently, as I don't want to push it, is because the piping that needs to be repaired goes in through the wall and then connects to the plumbing inside. So it's not a job for us to do. That's someone that builds lift stations to do. So what happened was we were running the pump system with one pump at the bulk water station. When we were flushing the line, we opened up the large port on the hydrant and opened it up. The town SCADA system saw a low pressure condition. It has to see that low pressure condition for 4 minutes, 3.5 minutes. When it does, it turns on a lag pump, which is at the pump house. And then that's supposed to catch up for the next 4 to 5 minutes to speed it up, to increase pressure. When it doesn't see the pressure increasing, 4 to 5 minutes later, it then turns on the second lag at the bulk water station. So what was missing was we had the pump station shut down because of the leak there. And just the way the SCADA is set up, it can't have pumps coming on as soon as the pressure drops because your pumps are just on and off, on and off. It has to have a few minutes. So the total water time off was like just under 15 minutes. So, and that's why. What we've done right after now is I've had it reprogrammed so lead and lag will be at the LRC until we get the pump house back up and running. But you sure can field a lot of phone calls in 15 minutes. Yeah, I'm sure you field them too. And that is my report.
Okay, thank you very much. CAO highlights.
Thank you, Your Worship. So we'll kick things off with the action item sheet. Rolled it over into April here and deleted most of the stuff completed in March. Couple of brief ones just to update you on. Item number 40 there, the BMX park pump track. I had a conversation with the contractor there last week. We're going to be starting the planning phase of the project here probably next week for a meeting between myself and Dan and those individuals, so that's good. I've noted item number 92 there from last year, dirt piles at Prosperity is complete. Obviously the work hasn't been done, but I've just noted it off that the selection amongst the options have been chosen, so obviously that work still remains to be done. What else? I've noted 21, the public skate there, and I know there was some discussion last meeting. I did confirm with the manager of Public Works, Parks and Rec. He does consider that the shinny's included in the family pass. So, yeah, we will go ahead and just make a note of that for the public. And then, yeah, that's only applicable to passes, of course. Anybody who's not a facility pass holder does still have to pay the drop-in fee for that. So, and what else? And then set the quarterly meeting for the municipal enforcement priorities. I've noted that is complete as well, so we'll be making that part of our regular reporting schedule. The first one will probably be next quarter. Moving forward into the capital and special projects list. Trying to keep the color coordination sort of the same amongst the three documents here. So, yeah, we've got a bunch of the projects that are complete. Some pricing has started to trickle in on a few of them. Nothing major. Just look over at Director Saskew here. Anything we want to do on an update on that document? Is what it is. Yeah, okay. Unless you guys have any specific questions on any of those purchases, status. No, good to go. Okay. Okay,
The Fleet Department and Parks have purchased the skid steer that's on their list. It says Bobcat track skid steer, but it's not a Bobcat. It was purchased, that's been delivered as of Thursday last week, and it was sourced locally from our New Holland dealer.
And it's a track machine.
yeah, it's a New Holland tracked unit. We were also having, while we're, I guess, talking about stuff in the parks, we were having difficulty sourcing the zero-turn mowers. Well, I happened to notice some units that are available locally. I've brought that to the manager's attention too. We're gonna look at them this week and see if they might work as well, so I'll let you know if that comes to pass. Last of the three, and I'll apologize for the formatting on this one, guys. Staff had put the original foundational documents list on there, but I redid that spreadsheet to include this template because the original one is formatted that we can't cross them off and note them as done, but I did it at the 11th hour and I messed up the formatting, so apologies there, folks, but this is meant to just show you the highlighting. Green's underway, Band-Aid-ish kind of brown is complete. And then in addition to that, there'll be, of course, the 4 policies here that we discussed tonight that we should have wrapped up by April. So we're playing catch up a little bit, but definitely on the right track. The only big monumental one that's sort of coming forward probably in Q2 is number 1, the Parks Master Plan. Both Dan and myself have given that a complete read. There's a lot of good tidbits in that, but it's a longer document, so we didn't want to put it on just yet because of the employee policy manual and that other stuff that's in front of you. So not to bombard you with 150 pages kind of thing, but we're nearing the point where that one's ready to go in front of council. And then there might be a couple of recommendations coming out of that one for the 2024 budget, because there was a few things they suggested that would help up our trails game and various things. So other than that, looking pretty good.
Any update on negotiations with the county and the rec agreement? Any dates been finalized? Or?
Yeah, I have a meeting with the CAO of the county and Director Saskew there tomorrow on that. So, yeah.
Perfect. Excellent. Okay, so everybody sees the council meeting for the 12th will be canceled. The office is closed on Monday. Okay.
Yeah, and actually 4-day weekend, Your Worship, it's Friday and Monday there. There's 2 stats.
Do you have Friday and Monday off as well?
Yes, I do. Typically, I'm the one that's like, why are we ever closed? But yes, I do.
Oh, looks like I'm taking Monday off too, then I don't really care. Okay, is there any other business of council? Well, that being said, I adjourn the meeting at 4:27. Chevy.
Good luck.